Hey guys, let's get more news about Miami Heat. To subscribe and leave your like. Continuing our series about what every player on the Miami Heat roster needs to improve on going into next season. We covered the young players and role guys over the past couple of days, and we're wrapping up with the most expensive end of the roster. Let's do it. Bam Adebayo getting to the basket. Adebayo expanded his game to the three-point line last season, taking more threes than he had in his entire career combined. He developed a reliable mid-range jumper a couple of seasons ago. Now it's time to get closer to the basket. As opponents grow to respect his jumper, that should create more openings for driving lanes. Adebayo doesn't have the smoothest handle, so the work begins there. Adding a repeatable drop step or spin move would also go a long way. Somehow, Adebayo needs to figure out how to drive past defenders and use his athleticism to finish at the basket. Tyler Herro pull-up three-point shooting. I know, this might sound crazy. I can already hear Heat fans screaming about defense. Here's my case: Herro will never be a great defender, but he could be the league's best non-Steph three-point shooter. I'd rather invest my time in becoming the best at something than merely average at something. Herro was one of the league's top three-point shooters last season, but his percentage slipped toward the end of the year. That's mostly due to his shot diet changing after the Butler change. Suddenly, Herro was being asked to be the number one option and create shots for himself and others. He went from a heavy dose of off-the-catch threes to pull-up jumpers. Herro shot 35.3% on 4.3 pull-up threes per game. Fine, but not elite. If Herro can develop a killer pull-up jumper, he'd be nearly unguardable from beyond the arc. Andrew Wiggins' playmaking. When it comes to comparing rising NBA stars to legends of the past, it's always a delicate balance. Too much comparison can feel unfair. Too little, and you risk missing history repeat itself. That's why when Minnesota Timberwolves veteran guard Mike Conley Jr. was asked who Anthony Edwards reminds him of, he didn't hesitate to reach for greatness. But he also made it clear, Edwards is carving out something all his own. I think his game is more like a D-Wade mix, Conley told me. With a, I don't know of another player because I think the other player is just himself. It's high praise coming from a seasoned floor general like Conley, who has seen, and defended, some of the game's best in his 18-year career. Comparing Edwards to Miami Heat icon Dwayne Wade is no small compliment. But Conley wasn't just echoing talking points. He was pointing to the how and the why behind the similarity. So it's like it's Ant all to himself and it's D-Wade, you know? Conley continued. Because his body and the way he gets in the paint, wiggle around in there being unbalanced and finishing and defending the rim. That blend of power and finesse, the ability to contort in the air while still finishing through contact and the two-way explosiveness, those are the traits that made Wade a Hall of Famer and three-time NBA champion. Now they're the same traits that have made Edwards the face of a surging Timberwolves team and one of the NBA's most electrifying young stars. Conley's perspective carries weight because he's seen Ant's evolution up close. As a calming, cerebral veteran presence next to the relentless energy of Edwards, Conley has watched the 23-year-old rise not just as a scorer, but as a leader and playmaker on both ends of the floor. And yet, what makes the comparison even more intriguing is Conley's ultimate conclusion: Edwards isn't a copy. He isn't a remix. He's a one-of-one. It's Ant all to himself, said Conley. In other words, the league has seen players like him. But it hasn't quite seen him before. Following their first-round elimination from the playoffs, the Miami Heat are expected to be busy in the offseason. Pat Riley is likely going to make multiple moves to improve the current team. However, the Heat could also look to move on from some of the current roster. As such, it's likely we see some outgoings as well as some incoming. In a recent episode of his Buha's Block podcast, the Athletic's Jovan Buha noted that Andrew Wiggins could be a strong addition for the Los Angeles Lakers. I think Wiggins. If the Lakers are looking to address the wing need on the trade market, Wiggins is a guy that I like a lot, and you can get there probably with some base of Rui plus matching salary, Buha said. For me, any trade where the Lakers can add a rotation player and not give up one of their top 6, I would say, the line for me starts at Gabe, where I'd be willing to give him up for an upgrade. So I have not heard specifically Wiggins, but he is the type of target that would make sense for them. Wiggins joined the Heat as part of the Jimmy Butler trade. Nevertheless, Miami will likely be open to trade negotiations. Riley must find a way to construct a well-balanced roster, even if that means trading away a high-level defender such as Wiggins. Heat urged to target Russell Westbrook, while Wiggins could emerge as a trade target for the Lakers or other contending teams. The Heat may be looking to add a veteran ball handler. The point guard position has been problematic for Miami, dating back to 2021 when Goran Dragic left the franchise. Bailey Bassett of Clutch Points has cited Russell Westbrook as a potential target for the Heat once he becomes available. Nobody would question Westbrook's hustle, work ethic, or competitiveness, Bassett wrote. All of these factors make him a solid free agency fit for the Miami Heat. Westbrook is unlikely to sign for more than the veteran minimum, and adding good players for cheap has to be something that would intrigue the Heat. Westbrook would instantly solve the Heat's problem at the guard position. And while he would only be a stopgap solution, he would give Riley an opportunity to plan his next move on how to fix that position long-term. Heat unlikely to land a superstar. Bill Simmons doesn't view the Heat as a genuine contender to acquire Giannis Antetokounmpo this summer. I wish Miami had one more guy because there is a BAM and all your picks for Giannis framework that I think would work, but it just puts Giannis in the same situation he is in now, Simmons said in a recent episode of his The Bill Simmons Show podcast. Simmons' comments about the Heat's lack of trade assets stretch further than just a deal for Giannis. Miami could face the same problems when trying to acquire Kevin Durant or any other potentially available star. As such, making smart decisions in free agency is essential. Riley will likely find an all-star who is available via trade. However, it's the work on the open market that will allow him to round out the roster. Of course, any outgoing trades, such as a potential deal for Wiggins, could also play a part.